What's up, guys? I'm back at Aldridge Park after a terribly long Starbucks run. That took way longer than expected, but we're here now. Um, I'm just gonna keep you guys posted a little bit on my progress of where I am with my research, as well as some of the challenges I faced so far and some things have been working well. Um, so at this point in time, I have, you know, allocated all my sources I'm going to be using. Um, I've put them into an annotated bibliography, which has certainly helped with my organization. Um, and I've kind of started to draw connections between the sources and how I'm going to play them into my overall research and my paper. Um, in terms of doing the annotated bibliography and finding the sources of which I'm going to use in my paper, I didn't face too many challenges. I actually found a lot more applicable sources than I thought I would. Um, I just had to use them in creative ways. So I couldn't find a ton of sources of, a ton of sources that relate specifically to my topic, but I was able to find sources from many different specific aspects of my argument that I'm going to be able to combine into, my main idea, my main thesis. For example, I found, papers about Jordan sneakers and kind of like the retro movement of them. I found papers about the importance of self-identity in young black communities. I found papers talking about kind of how like the impact of Jordan was just like this pseudo-religious, godlike impact that he had on black communities. And that's why they called him Black Jesus. and While none of those directly related to my main argument, they're definitely things that I'm going to be able to collect together and use to bolster my paper. The main concern that I have moving forward is just going to be whether I can draw clean connections between these ideas and between these topics without having to reach or make too large of a jump or a connection between the sources, to where it feels like I'm kind of reaching or grasping at straws. So just making sure that I have that connection between my sources and like the movement of my paper is fluent and fluid and moves in a way that feels natural and it doesn't feel like I'm jumping too much between topics. Because there's a large array of things that I could go into and that I'm going to attempt to go into because it's a longer paper. So I just want to try to make sure that I don't jump too much between topics and that I have these bridges that can connect my main ideas into creating my overall thesis. In terms of finding specific sources, the main thing that I had trouble finding was sources that can kind of relate the clothing aspect of the shoe and the importance of that to the specific kind of contemporary thing of sneakers. So we've talked about in lecture before how clothing was weaponized by African Americans, but I couldn't find a lot of papers that kind of talked about it in a contemporary way. So I'm gonna have to draw some connections between these things that I found, mainly talking about like African clothing and their kind of cultural, kind of clothing that they have going on there, connecting it to something like more globalized as a sneaker, but still like being able to connect that idea to the idea of weaponized clothing. That's kind of where my main concern is at now. I found a couple like anthropological papers that kind of sort of brush on that topic, but I'm gonna have to make my own connections. But that's where I'm at, and I'm excited to see where this is gonna go.